We chose to analyze the film The Truman Show, directed by Peter Weir in 1998.
Good morning. At its core, the film challenges us to think about free will versus control. Truman's life is orchestrated by others, from his relationships, such as his carefully orchestrated marriage with Meryl, in his fears, like his phobia of water, which is the intense fear that is typically associated with the increase in psychological arousal, lasting more than 6 months, causing clinically significant distress in social, occupational, or other important areas of life. Audubon, 2016. Every aspect of his life is crafted by the show's creator, Christoph, which is God in a sense. Fear controls his every move to leave the island home. His fake relationship with the actors persuade him to stay by increasing his fear. In one such scene, he goes to the travel agency with posters showing impending doom when leaving. The psychological mind games that plays on anxiety is often conceptualized as a trait-like or clinical manifestation of excessive fear, differing from state-like fear in terms of intensity, frequency, and duration. This is Rosenberg, 1998. The monolithic treatment of fear has been enforced by constructionist approaches in emotion, which apply in fear label to feelings of divergent, as those associated with a physical threat, those associated with excitement before the sport event. This is Wilson, Mellon Hall, in 2015. This raises the important question: how much of our own lives is truly under our control? In a world influenced by social norms, media, and authority, it's easily to wonder whether we're making choices for ourselves or simply following a script.
Another critical issue from this film is the ethics of it. The surveillance and exploitation we see in this film is unarguably unethical and immoral. Truman's every moment in the film is broadcasted without his consent or knowledge. He becomes a global reality television star without even knowing. Truman's life was used for the benefit of television producers, and his own well-being was not considered at all. This highlights how far selfish TV producers and consumers of these shows are willing to go to receive their entertainment. Christoph even went as far as to film a very vulnerable and private time in Truman's life that you can see at Truman's birth, highlighted in the show at 1 hour, 1 minute. Truman's whole life was filmed 24/7. You see everything in his life, from him being filmed in the womb using a womb camera, his birth, his friendship with Marlon, and even his relationship with his wife Marl. Over the course of the film, you can see how desensitized the viewers get to the life of Truman. The viewers of the show are okay with the exploitation of Truman for their entertainment. You would expect the viewers to feel guilty for Truman, but due to them being so desensitized, they do not have good ethics or morals. It is truly sad to see these viewers sit by while Truman suffers.
The film also explores concepts of reality versus illusion. Truman's world is entirely a construct existing underneath an iron dome sky with artificial weather patterns, an artificial island filled with an artificial cast of characters. Although Truman feels like he has a loving family and a loving wife at home, they're merely actors in his world, all running off a script given by their proverbial god, Christoph, the director. But much like our own reality, Truman has no way of knowing that this is the case. And does that make his feelings, his emotions, any less valid? Does him running off a script, even without his knowing, make the way he feels about his loved ones any less valid than my own? You see, as Friedrich Nietzsche once stated, free will may be merely an illusion. although you feel like you have the freedom to make choice, is this really the case? Nietzsche said that people merely respond to external stimuli and that nothing is by free will. That is the case demonstrated poignantly in The Truman Show. Truman is merely responding to an artificial world, but that doesn't make his feelings any less valid. For Truman, this world is very much his reality, curated as it may be. To put a finer point on it, nearing the end of the film, when Truman decides to set sail and finally conquer this world he has found himself in, he reaches the proverbial edge of the universe. He hits a wall in a literal sense and can sail no further. He'll never make it to his Fiji, but he does make it to a stairway to heaven. Finally seeing that this is all fake, his worst fears come true. He ascends a staircase, a literal staircase into heaven, and his God, Christoph, the director, in a booming voice reaches down to him and explains the truth to Truman, that this world was never real. It's all an artificial construct, with everyone in the so-called reality watching Truman respond to these rather mundane day-to-day situations. Truman, upon reflecting briefly on this, looks up at God and asks, "Was any of it real?" And God simply replies, "You were, Truman." And I think a lot of people could reflect on that. You will never have a way to know whether or not you're in your very own Truman Show. You can never know objectively whether the cast of characters you encounter with on a day-to-day basis are genuine. For all you know, when you leave the room, the cast resets and everything begins again, waiting for you to interact with them. But even if this were the case, it wouldn't make your own feelings any less valuable, any less valid. And for that reason, I think that The Truman Show demonstrates something very important. That it's what's on the inside that counts.
Then there's a critique of consumerism and media manipulation. Truman's life is not just a show, it's a product. Every item in his world is strategically placed for sponsorship. From the Cocoa Merrill awkwardly advertises mid-conversation at 53 minutes and 47 seconds to the gadgets and clothes predominantly worn in the show. This shows the way media often blurs the line between storytelling and marketing, treating human lives and emotions as mere commodities for profit. The integration of advertising into Truman's daily life reflects consumer culture, where personal moments are monetized for the benefit of corporations. Truman's interaction with the world around him are scripted to serve commercial interest. A clear metaphor for how advertising has seeped into contemporary life, from entertainment to interpersonal relationships. The spectacle of Truman's life, constantly packaged and sold to the audiences, mirrors how real people are often subject to similar forces of consumerism. Products, brands, and narratives are thrust upon them, shaping their behaviors, desire, and even self-worth. The manipulation extends beyond material goods. It is also embedded in the way Truman's identity is formed, controlled by the unseen system that curates his every moment, creating a version of reality that serves corporate agendas. The line between what is real and what is fabricated becomes increasingly difficult to distinguish, not only for Truman, but also for the viewers watching from the outside. His existence is to reduce a commodity, and the consequences of living in such a world would raise important questions about autonomy, authenticity, and the value of human experiences in media-saturated society. The story also delves into identity and authenticity. Truman's journey is one of self-discovery, as he slowly begins to unravel the truth about the world around him. His mounting suspicions and subtle observations, like strange behavior of the people he knows, and the seemingly scripted nature of his life, drive him to challenge the boundaries of his world. His resistance starts small but grows in intensity, and it's evident that Truman is beginning to question his purpose. One of the most striking moments of defiance occurs when he builds a boat at 1 hour and 22 minutes. Sets out across the ocean, defying his deep-seated fear of water. This is not just a physical act, but a metaphorical one. Truman is not merely just testing the limits of his world, but also pushing against the very idea that is controlled and predetermined. His courage to confront his own fear symbolizes a border of existential struggle to control over one's own destiny. The ocean, often symbolic of the vast, uncontrolled nature of life, becomes the barrier. Truman must cross it in order to break free of the prison of his constructed world. This act of resistance, which builds throughout the film, culminating in Truman walking through the exit door. Kristoff's final plea to stay, where Truman makes the deliberate choice to leave this artificial world behind and embrace the uncertainty of the real world in 1 hour and 34 minutes. His decision to walk away from his life, the life that he has known, from the only reality he has ever understood, signifies the trump of self-determination and the pursuit of an authentic life. It is a bold declaration of the importance of personal agency, even in the face of overwhelming opposition and the unknown. Truman's escape symbolizes his reclaim of his individuality, as he chooses to pursue a life where he can define himself, make his own decisions, and most importantly, experience true freedom, even if it means stepping into a world that is unpredictable and unfamiliar.
Truman's decision is not just about rejecting the false world of Sea Haven. It is about rejecting the very notion that one's identity can be manipulated or constructed for the entertainment or gain of others. He seeks to define himself outside of the constraints of media-created narrative that has confined him. His decision to leave the world behind serves as a powerful commentary on the human desire for self-authentication, for the ability to live a life that is not dictated by external forces, whether they be societal expectations, consumer culture, or media manipulation. It is an assertion of the human spirit's ability to choose authenticity, to carve out a space in which we can live in truth, even when that truth is difficult, uncomfortable, or unknown. In the end, Truman's journey shows that while the search for authenticity might be fraught with challenges, the pursuit of one's own truth, unencumbered by the artificial structures that seek to define us, is the ultimate form of freedom. Finally, The Truman Show highlights the isolation and human need for connection. Truman's relationships are scripted, from his best friend Marlon, who delivers lines fed through an earpiece at 57 minutes 42 seconds, to Meryl, whose affection is contractual. In contrast, his connection with Sylvia, an actor who tries to reveal the truth to him, represents an authentic bond. Her removal from the set becomes a catalyst for his longing to find something real, underscoring the emotional toll of living in a world devoid of genuine relationships. In the end, The Truman Show is not just a critique of modern society, but an invitation to introspection. Truman's courageous decision to step through the door into an unknown reality is a call for each of us to break free from the constraints imposed by societal norms, pursue truth, and embrace authenticity. His journey reminds us to question what is real, what is ethical, and ultimately, what it means to truly live. To quote Nick Reganis, do lab rats know if they are forever imprisoned? Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.